The Oklahoma City Thunder have done it again, back in the Western Conference Finals, and they still haven't lost a playoff game. But that's not even the crazy part. When I say they've done it again, I'm talking about their ability to find talent where nobody else is looking. Ajay Mitchell, a second-round pick from less than 2 years ago, is performing like a star. So how is this possible? In today's video brought to you by PrizePicks, we're going to break down what makes Mitchell such a valuable player. That starts on defense, where he's got the agility to stay in front of just about any player in the league and contain the ball. The foot speed to slide laterally and shut off angles is one thing. He's got insane hip mobility, which allows him to change directions and recover from just about any situation. And this is without sacrificing lower body strength. He can absorb bumps, hold his ground, just staying glued to the ball at all times. In addition to those physical tools, he's got sharp, active hands that help him make plays. Essentially, he's the entire package when it comes to hounding initiators. He's disruptive, he's able to contain drives. If he does get beat, he's got the agility to recover and negate advantages. Maybe most importantly though, he's an elite screen navigator. This time you're going to see him duck under one screen to keep Smart in front of him. Then when a second comes, he makes himself skinny to stay attached, recovers to get back in front, and forces a really difficult shot in the paint. These are the types of plays we saw all series long. His primary matchup was Austin Reeves, and his assignment was to chase him all over the court like a shadow. That starts with ball pressure. Anytime Reeves played the point, he met him in the backcourt, shadowing his every move. When LA went to their spread pick and roll, he'd get over those screens, funnel the ball into help, and force the offense to look elsewhere, which is an especially effective strategy against a player like Reeves. His game is predicated on getting a screen and turning the corner with an advantage. With Mitchell constantly sitting on his hip and help waiting in front of him, he couldn't get the opportunities he wanted. Take this play for example. Because the screen is set so far out, Reeves isn't a threat to step into a pull-up three, so Mitchell darts under and cuts off his drive without needing a ton of extra help. Just a great understanding of angles. This one's really similar. He ducks under a screen near half court to cut off a drive, only this time the Lakers set an immediate second screen closer to the perimeter, to which he makes himself skinny to funnel Reeves into his drop big, taking away those major pressure points and speeding up his process. LA tried all sorts of different tactics to get Mitchell away from Reeves, from multiple screens in a row to illegal screens. He drew 2 offensive fouls in this series by just simply fighting over the top of the screen and getting hip checked. They also tried starting Reeves off the ball, but it was the same thing. He just stayed glued to him out of any action, then phased through ball screens like they didn't exist to not give him any space. From there, OKC's elite backline could take care of the rest. Remember, Mitchell's got great hands, so when trying to get Reeves open without the ball, there were a few times where he outright denied a touch or even got a hand on a pass to force a turnover. Everything was about keeping him away from the basket. From the ball denial to the constant pressure and ability to cut off different angles. They wanted to make him work for every advantage and play out of rhythm, which I'd say they did a phenomenal job of. Of course, it's a team effort, and OKC's help deserves a ton of credit, but Mitchell was the guy hounding him at every turn, as he struggled to do much of anything. Over the entire series, Reeves posted averages of just under 21 points and 7 assists every 75 possessions. However, he did so while turning the ball over 5.5 times and shooting about 7% worse than his efficiency from the regular season. They did a great job of disrupting his flow, and that was evident on the tape. He made plenty of rushed mistakes. That wasn't all Mitchell though. There were situations where the Lakers were able to get him switched off of Reeves, and this is where I actually think his defense stood out most because he's still able to add value in other ways. That starts with his ability to switch. He's on the smaller side for a guard in today's NBA, but he can slide his feet and absorb contact, which is enough to defend most forwards. I say most because the Lakers have LeBron James, and that size difference was very obvious anytime he took Mitchell to the post. It's not like he was completely helpless though. With the way OKC loaded up behind the play, sending a big from the weak side to wall off the rim, these post-ups weren't actually that much of an issue. Of course, there were times where the Thunder got forced into rotation, which is only natural when loading up on a passer like LeBron. But it wasn't consistent enough to actually force any sort of adjustment. For the most part, they did a good job of protecting the paint without overhelping, which relies on Mitchell, individually, taking those bumps and keeping Brown in front of him at all times. Also, they did a good job of avoiding the post touch altogether when they could. Like I said, Mitchell's got great hands, and those can be a tool when it comes to blowing up certain actions. For example, on this one, Brown screens to get the switch he wants. All they have to do is get him the ball to create an advantage, but it never gets there. Here's another example of Bron screening to get the switch onto Mitchell. This time the Thunder scram switch out of it, meaning Caruso takes LeBron while Mitchell clears to the corner. Caruso gambles for a steal, only for Mitchell to come back and help, ultimately forcing him to travel. Maybe the most underrated aspect of his game is how good he is at defending in rotation. Anytime the offense didn't run through Reeves, it was clear how active he was. He's got the instincts to get into the right position and the speed to just eviscerate space, running shooters off the line and funneling them back into his rim protectors. The way OKC likes to defend relies on that foot speed. For example, they're always Xing out, meaning whoever's on the opposite wing is closing out to the corner while somebody closes from the paint to that wing. That way, instead of one pass and a three, the offense has to make quick decisions on the fly. Mitchell was the guy who was often relied on to zone up the weak side, meaning that as soon as LA puts pressure on the rim, he's going to position himself in a way that allows him to cover both the wing and the corner. Smart pauses and overthinks a kickout pass, which buys Shea time to recover and get a hand up on Reeves. Something else to keep in mind is that because of Mitchell's hip mobility, when closing from the wing to the corner, he isn't just taking away the spot up three, he can contain a drive himself. And now the Lakers are right back to dealing with his one-on-one defense. This all starts with his constant activity and smart rotations behind the play. Even something as simple as coming way over to tag a roll and recovering quickly to the corner is the difference between a spot up three or a layup and getting a stop. And he's constantly making high leverage plays like this. On this one, LeBron establishes inside position deep in the paint. If he gets the ball, they're scoring. Mitchell recognizes this and completely blows it up. Really, his only limitation in these spots is that he's small and not a vertical athlete. So, as a last line of defense, he's not going to get up and protect the rim. In general, his size can be attacked in a few different ways. This time, he's the one getting sealed by Rui, forcing him to foul. Or against pick and roll, Reeves starts to get downhill, forcing Ihart to pick up the ball. Normally, this would be a peel switch onto the big, but he can't contest Ayton at all. With that said though, these issues don't pop up often, which takes me back to the team. The Thunder insulate these weaknesses better than anyone in the league. They enable Mitchell to thrive within the role that makes him great, pressuring the ball, fighting through screens, making plays with his hands, and at times, taking his matchup out of the offense. So he isn't only playing a role, he's actively adding value to an all-time defensive unit. Yet still, it was his offense that stole the show in round 2. Before we get into that though, I want to take a moment to thank PrizePicks for sponsoring today's video. If you know you can play responsibly and you have the means to do so, PrizePicks is America's #1 app for sports picks. So if you're looking for a place to get in on the conference finals, use code HMA and get started. I'm still waiting for them to add lines for Game 7 in Detroit. In the meantime, you can look through pretty much any major sport, any stat. So whether you're looking to live bet on an NBA game, predict who's going to dominate the next UFC fight card, or even tap into esports, they've got something for you. Just simply pick more or less, and you've got your lineup. If you sign up for PrizePicks with code HMA and play $5, you get $50 in lineups instantly. So download the app or click the link in the description to get started, and let me hear your picks down in the comments. The Lakers went into this series with one of the most aggressive defensive schemes you'll ever see, and it was all built around not letting Shea get his shots up. That meant denying him a touch anytime he didn't have the ball. The goal was to force anybody else to create. Normally, this is when the Thunder would turn to Jalen Williams. He's been out with injury. They instead went to Ajay Mitchell, who more than answered the call. We already talked about his lack of size. He's also not a big-time pull-up three-point threat or an explosive athlete, so as a creator, he's not the type to consistently find straight-line drives to the rim. His game is predicated on pace and craft, starting and stopping or changing directions at the right moments to create slight windows to attack downhill. His handle is what makes this possible. He's not the type to do anything crazy or overly creative, but the ball is on a string, and he has an incredible understanding of timing and angles, meaning he'll always find ways to access open space. That especially stands out when he's working with a screen. On this one, he notices that Reeves is slightly out of position, so he attacks his top foot, gets really low to the ground on a baseline drive, and finds an opening. Later in the game, there was a similar play, but this time that corner is occupied, and DeAndre Ayton plays the wrong side of the screen. He attacks the middle of the floor, then finishes through contact for 2 plus a foul. That soft touch around the basket really brings his entire skill set together. The use of pace and understanding of angles help him get to the paint. Then he can finish in a variety of ways, and that's how he often compensates for a lack of elite physical tools. He's especially good at playing off of 2 feet, using jump stops, up fakes, and pivots to hunt for space. That's a testament to his footwork, and again, his understanding of timing and angles. You just don't see second-year guards maneuver tight spaces like this, which also unlocks a little bit of a post game. He's got the footwork to separate, the strength to fight through contact. It's pretty easy to see why some like to compare him to Jalen Brunson, beyond just the fact that he's also a lefty. Like Brunson, when playing downhill, at any moment he's a threat to stop and pop a mid-range jumper, which is sort of the ultimate counter in playoff basketball. Anytime the paint is packed or his driving lane gets taken away, he can still get to his own shot. This season, he attempted 6 mid-range shots every 75 possessions and hit about 46% of them, which is right in line with what you'd expect from a very good secondary mid-range option. In round 2 against the Lakers, we saw a different beast. He ramped up his volume to 8.5 attempts, while making them at a 58% clip. These are the numbers you'd expect from a premier mid-range shot creator. And that's the type of toolbox he's got at his disposal. If he gets defenders off balance, you'll see him drop a shoulder and get to a bump midi. But he can just as easily use his handle and change of speed to separate. All he needs is just a little bit of room to get the shot off, which adds another layer to his pick and roll game. Not only do you have to worry about him turning the corner with speed, he can be methodical, looking for open space and rising up for a short jumper. The idea here is that when the ball is in his hands, he's constantly applying downhill pressure. Whether that means getting to his spots in the mid-range, working off a screen, or just attacking an early offense. Then he's a good enough passer to counter help, and that's the key to unlocking everything. If he were only a threat to score, playoff defenses would lock in on that, but he's not. He can make a wide variety of passing reads, which allows the Thunder to legitimately run a pick and roll style of offense through him. As long as he's able to get to his left hand, he's a threat to find the big or skip it cross court, meaning he's always involving shooters. When it comes to his ability to work with a screen, what stands out most to me is the way he'll operate at multiple speeds. He can go fast and make a quick read, or slow it down and play that game of cat and mouse with the opposing big. Keep in mind, as long as Shai is on the court, they're playing 4-on-4. The Lakers are straight up denying him the ball, which means that defender's not going to bring any help. Mitchell had unlimited access to the middle of the floor. Think about what that means. One less help defender in pick and roll, or no help at the nail while Mitchell goes one-on-one against Reeves. He was out there attacking like it was a scrimmage. That wasn't the only aspect of LA's extreme defensive strategy though. Anytime Shai did get the ball, they'd immediately send a hard double team to make him get rid of it. And this anybody but Shai approach meant that OKC's role guys would have to extend advantages by making the right decisions against rotations, hitting the right pressure points, and scoring. In these spots, Mitchell does have one slight limitation, and it's the fact that he's not the best catch and shoot guy. Since entering the league, he's attempted over 200 catch and shoot threes, regular season and playoffs combined, and he's hit about 35% of them. That's not low enough to make him a liability or a non-threat, but it is below average and often something defenses are willing to concede. However, it's not that simple. What defenses aren't willing to concede is him catching the ball with space to attack. So they rotate towards him as if he was a high-level shooting threat. Because after sending a double to Shai, if he has space to drive off the catch, he'll completely break the coverage. The Thunder know this. They'll put him one pass away from Shai. After the double comes, they're going to rotate to take away his space, and he's always quick to get the ball where it needs to go for a high-quality shot. That role flexibility is really important. In addition to being the guy handling the ball and setting things up, he can be a cog in the system, filling out space, playing off the catch, and making quick decisions, which has elevated OKC to a new level this season. The league average offensive rating, regular season and playoffs, is a little under 116. When Shai and Mitchell share the court together, OKC's untouchable, a historically efficient offense. Take Mitchell out of the equation and they're still elite, but it's a pretty big drop-off. However, the big talking point is the 800 minutes that Mitchell has played without Shai, leading the Thunder to an above-average offense. Without J-Dub, the non-Shai minutes in this series were the first time we actually got to see Mitchell run a playoff offense, and he absolutely torched the Lakers. It was everything we've talked about. Things were built around that middle pick and roll game, where he's got the ability to pressure the defense in a variety of ways as both a scorer and playmaker. The Lakers tried a few different looks. They were mostly in drop. His use of pace and in-between scoring helped him beat it. They also mixed in a little bit of switching, in hopes of not letting him turn the corner. His handle and change of speed helped him beat mismatches. Or it forced other defenders to react. Against a big, they have to worry about a blow-by, and as soon as he draws help, he's quick to get off the ball and create a shot for a teammate. Like I said earlier, it's the passing that unlocks everything, especially when it comes to variety within the bench units. For example, he can initiate while an elite shooter like Jared McCain flies around a screen. That's another way for them to pressure the defense and create an advantage. Or McCain can be the one screening for Mitchell. This time he sets a go screen and two go with the ball, leaving him on an island at the top of the key. These actions force the Lakers to answer tough questions. McCain's too good of a shooter to let him slip into open space. But switch, and now Mitchell's got a mismatch to attack one-on-one, and he's back to putting pressure on the rim. It's such a simple skill set, but it's hard to guard. He can play at multiple speeds, he can score in a bunch of different ways, bring too much help, and he'll probably find the open man. Sure, he's mostly making real basic passing reads, like an open lob, or a simple kick out to a shooter in the corner after drawing attention. At times, that's all that's necessary to create consistently good offense because of how good he is at getting to his spots and applying pressure inside the arc. Most importantly, he does it all without turning the ball over, which is the true secret to what makes OKC so good offensively. Not just Mitchell, but in general. They were the best team in the NBA at taking care of the ball this season, only turning it over 12 times every 100 possessions. And it can't be overstated how valuable it is to just know you're going to get a shot up. Most of that can be attributed to Shai. He's the most turnover-averse lead ball handler in the league, at least when Halliburton's out. But Mitchell has also played a big role in their ball security, which stands out in the numbers. On average, teams turn the ball over about 14.5 times. When Shai's on the court without Mitchell, OKC only turns it over 11.5 times. That'd be number 1. When Mitchell's on without Shai, they're still above average, albeit closer to the middle of the pack. The true magic happens when they're both out there though. Less than 9 turnovers, a signal that you just don't see from any team ever. And when neither of them are out there, that's when they fall below average. All season long, Mitchell's been a key to unlocking OKC's offense. Next to Shai, he's playing off the catch, making quick decisions, and extending advantages. Without Shai, he's running the bench unit as a primary ball handler, creating for himself and others while not turning it over. What we saw in round 2 was what that looked like with everything dialed up to the highest degree. In 4 games against the Lakers, he averaged about 29 points and 8 assists every 75 possessions. He only turned the ball over once, recorded a true shooting mark of 64.3%, and OKC had a 140. Yes, 140 offensive rating with him on the court. Keep in mind, this is while playing lockdown defense on the other side of the ball. Has an all-star type of leap ever been more obvious? Oh yeah, he's also making, on average, $3 million a year until 2029. Less than 2% of the cap, producing like an all-NBA caliber player in the playoffs. I guess the lesson here is that Sam Presti and the front office have done it again. The 38th pick in the 2024 NBA draft is currently playing a vital role in the 2026 playoffs. He was, at many times, the best player on the court in a second-round sweep. He's only 23 years old. He's already a legit secondary creator, primary point of attack defender, and arguably the biggest X factor in OKC's pursuit of back-to-back championships.